Dr. Sam Amadi is here to help us look at how the government can promptly react to agitations of citizens to avert protests in the future. Prof, very warm welcome to Newsnight. Let's start from Adama State. That's a governor who is on his he's 5 years, second term in office. Is just saying, oh yes, poverty is real. I'm going to give unemployed youths 10,000 spots. Then farmers, I'll give them input. What happened during his first tenure?
And that's the question to ask, because this is a second term. So what we expected that first term, this is what we've done. We now want to enhance the pace of our development. So I don't know what story tells you a story around the fact that these governors do not even pay attention to. If you look at Adamawa poverty level, it's very high.
Oh, yes.
So you expected that by the first 10
there's nothing to write home about.
Exactly. Apart from maybe Yola and Tuku's some of university and other activities in Adamawa, Yola. So the question is, what has it done in the last 4 years?
In fact, it's the same question we should be asking the governors. And the youths, they keep looking up to Abuja. Yeah. And the president in his speech said, look, the allocation, federal allocation to states, it has doubled. But so why are you always looking up here? Why are you not questioning your governors?
Because the president also creates the impression that governors are subservient to them. So if the president is doing wedding, the governors fly in. Governors will say, I support Mr. President. That's not their business. A governor, let's say IBNI, which is APC, which is Labour Party, opposition party, has no business pledging loyalty to the president.
Oh, but we saw that from Fubara.
All the time.
Fubara is not. In fact, Fubara is one leg in APC and one leg in PDP. That is the problem.
So the governors are not even willing to take ownership of the fact that they are a sovereign.
Are these genuine leaders?
Two questions. First is that electoral system in Nigeria creates people whose commitment to national development is secondary to commitment to themselves. So every idea is, I need the president to be in good support to get second term. And if I had the conversation people had about the president's speech, all we say is, look, by now, the real issue about this protest is poverty. All the women, the children, they were not mobilized by ideology of end bad governance.
No, it's the hunger.
It's the hunger, and it's real. And so I will be thinking that the governors will sit with the technical team and say, look, this is a population of hungry people. People who have no jobs, unemployed, poor people. This is our budget. Can we now redirect funding to those basics that drive well-being? Again, government will now say, state governors, federal government will now say, it's good to say technically, oh, subsidy is good, subsidy is bad, remove it. That makes sense. But when you have an economy where 60% of your population are acutely poor, by the MBS is about 45%, but since then, with devaluation, with inflation, you can say that at least 60% of Nigerians are acutely poor, meaning they can't even afford
a meal.
If you have that kind of population, you can't be doing the World Bank and the IMF textbook, subsidy is bad. Because first, there's no aggregator for you to get economic wealth. So 60% are unemployed, unproductive, hungry. So what will drive the development? So they're looking at the wrong economics, looking at figures. Okay, if we save X, Y, no. The real thing is get these 60% people fed, get them working. That's the problem. So the state governors have been totally remiss here. The federal government probably has to spend them more. But the question is, they seem to cover up for the state governors, and they seem to create this alliance that, look, our job is to be nice to Abuja. And once we're nice to Abuja,
you'll get your seat
back. We get our seat returned. So there's no level of accountability to the people. Say, look, by the way, I am a sovereign. So if I hear a governor under the Nigerian constitution, forget the story about Nigeria being deformed. That constitution has significant protection.
Safeguards.
For a governor who wants to drive a different economic outcome. Yes, there are federalizing impulses, the military, the police. But look, the economy is rural. Agro is rural. Commerce is rural. The basic laws the federal government makes, currency, banking and finance, do not constrain. So we want to see, after this, it's good for governors to say, please give us some time. But let each governor, let Fitri and his colleagues now, move away from the tangent and start developing economic base for themselves. Changing their budgetary allocation from self-serving. I mean, how many governors will fly to Abuja on private jet maybe 5 times a month? So we now have only one, and they fly commercial. Just think about it. The free money, they invest in well-being. They invest in skilling and providing jobs, for those entrepreneurship. The problem is that they have not realized that, look, this protest is just a slight show of how we cannot be overrun by revolution driven by poverty,
absolutely,
total destitution, helplessness, not driven by any ideology. I mean, you can have maybe some revolutionaries in France talking about liberal issues or talking about nationalism. You can have some in Middle East, in Arab countries, talking about Islamism or whatever. This is a revolution of helplessness, hopelessness,
that can just consume the whole country, no future.
And then you want to see governors, you want to see presidents, you want to see ministers, everybody say, you know what, shock therapy. We are ready, we are waking to. So for me, the future, the speech Tinubu gave, the management of it is what matters. Are we going to see a new resolve? It's unfortunate they didn't talk about cutting costs of governance, but that's
key about the demand.
It's key. It has a symbolic value. People say, oh, this is anger. I give it an example. My wife told me that some people are protesting and said, this estate, we're going to go there. There's now what we call mimetic jealousy. It's viral.
Yes.
People say, oh, these rich people, these politicians. So if you don't shape optics by being responsible, by investing on the people, and yourself looking more frugal and prudent, we're going to come, people get more angry. So the messaging is not about what Shawara or Deji or any other person says. The messaging is this hopelessness and helplessness and the real hunger. And so if leaders are not seeing that hunger and they're still building cars on the air, talking about great plan for micro enterprises and all these industrial policy, yes,
good.
But what will bring you down is that the people are basically hungry.
So the import of grains, blah, 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 for 150 days isn't going to assuage the pangs of hunger.
And by the way, when you
import
it, you will see a diversion. Have we dealt with the political economy that diverts? Don't forget, some people call from Port Harcourt. They say they're going to loot. They've seen where palliatives are sourced. So it's not enough to say 150,
days of tariff-free imports.
It's about, will it get to the people? Are you going to restrain the political economy?
And how long would that sustain or wipe out the poverty?
So I think the end of this crisis is that the government themselves now needs to sit back and say, look, 3 things we do. First, we are at the verge of a revolution. And this is a reckless revolution without ideology. And that's the most dangerous. It's going to be naked violence. 2, they must admit that, look, the people are no longer trusting of their rhetoric. People are basically, there's high, 77% according to Afrobarometer have no trust in government. That's really high. We saw
I think just to round up very quickly, Atedo Peter side captured it.
In his statement?
Yes.
But the question is,
it's very succinct,
while
the leaders think that the people are weary and cannot come out. They came out, even with the pangs.
In fact, I thought that this would not work because it had taken 3 weeks of government managing it, propaganda, dissimulation, mobilization.
Oh, government tried with its propaganda. Yes, they tried very well. But still, can they use that same propaganda to feed the people?
And that's the danger of propaganda and politics. It gives you self-fulfilling prophecy. It gives you a sense of optimism that you're going to solve the problem. We're going to head it off. The rainmaker, we remove the rain.
Is it postponing the evil day?
Yeah, that's what they can. But let me tell you the prophecy. If we don't do something, we're going to have perennial protests that are going to be violent.
Because Sigmund Freud said that in his psychoanalysis. You get a point. When you have a problem, you must bring it close, solve it. If you push it away, it keeps recurring.
That's the point.
Associate Professor of Law, Dr. Sam Amadi, thanks very much, Chair, for shedding light on the ongoing discourse.